Alrighty guys, welcome back to another video. Just pulled the truck in the garage and this is post-transmission install and everything. Been driving the truck a little bit. Just kept trying to get used to everything and something I've noticed with the wheels and tires. So this video is going to be a cost breakdown. I haven't really I don't feel like I have enough miles on the truck, maybe 20 miles to see how the transmission's doing. So I'm going to hold off on making that video. But this is going to be the wheels and tires cost breakdown as well as trying to fix the little issue with them. So if you're not familiar, this is my 2001 Ram 3500. And latest visual mod we did was wheels and tires. I want to say a 10 lug AccuRide setup. Absolutely love the way these things look. They are used semi tires, so there's, or a wheel, I guess. So there's a little bit of issues, like little scratches up in here. I'll eventually focus and polish it out, but for right now, just kind of wanted to get them looking pretty good. So I went with a 1250 tire, 1250 33 22. Had the wheels milled down and everything. And what you see right here is the wheel and tire setup. I think it looks absolutely incredible. I have been doing some pretty full turns and there's a tiny little bit of scrapage, but this is plastic and it does move out of the way. So it does touch a little bit on the corners at full lock. But again, there's actually about an inch or two of clearance behind that plastic, so I could cut it out if I wanted to, but right now I don't think it's hurting anything. If I was off-roading with a truck like this or getting a lot of flex, probably cut it, but I'm not, so I don't really care that much. It's tow rig. Anyway, so first we'll go ahead and get into the cost, I guess, and then we'll knock out a little issue we're having. So if you're going to convert your truck like this to a 10 lug, you got to get an adapter. So first up, have up here, these are from Wheels a Million on Instagram. This is business name, Facebook, a couple of the areas. I got these secondhand. So these adapters, these are my stock lug nuts. Adapters, just that's all I got. And then I got the lug nuts with the wheels and tires. So the cost for the adapters alone were about 600 bucks. So that's for all four. Now I'm gonna get into an issue I have with the adapters in a minute, but for right now, 600 bucks for that. The wheels were 900. The going rate seems to be about 150 a wheel. I've pretty much done everything I can I would look probably for a long time trying to find some cheaper. You can find it for 100 bucks a wheel some areas. Usually it's not in a full set or, you know, up and down with that price range. So that's gonna be your big determining factor when trying to do this yourself as opposed to just ordering a set. So 900 bucks for the actual wheels, $1,200 for the tires. And then I'm running the Crosswind mud terrain, and these, I looked a long time to try and find a tire that was in a more budget-friendly range. For reference, the Nitto Trail Grapplers are about $350 a tire, $375. The Toyo, I think they're just Toyo mud grapplers or mud trails or MT, whatever that is, the Toyo version, is also super expensive. They're almost $400 a tire as well. So $200 a tire seemed kind of fair to what I was trying to get out of this thing. I don't tow super heavy. This is a daily driver, and it's mostly just for visuals that I have these wheels and tires on here because I think it looks awesome. So I was okay with the budget tire. Hopefully these will hold up for a while. We will find out though. I've heard on Amazon, like I said, I looked at a bunch of different tire reviews. These are the best ones, and most people like them. Seen them run on a couple of the trucks on Instagram, but it could just be a cheap tire. Who knows? So that's what's on the truck right now. Being a 8.25 inch wide wheel, it sucked them in about an inch. So instead of a 1250, they're closer to an 1150, which probably helps out with my fitment and everything. So I'm perfectly fine with that. The rears have a nice gap back there. And then lastly, to get them balanced and mounted and milled. So the milling, I believe, was $75 a tire, but I got them all done by one dude, West Cone Customs on Facebook and Instagram. And he was able to get them knocked out. He's local to me, and milled them down and then got the tires balanced and mounted. So they're 22 inch now instead of 22.5, and that whole thing came to $730. So grand total, I think, is somewhere around 3,700 bucks for this setup. So although that may seem a little bit pricey to some people, you got to understand in the dually world, this crap is expensive. So just getting a set of plain Alcoa looking wheels, so like those AccuRide, Alcoa, there's a couple other ones, Freightliner might make it circle style. They're all semi wheels, right? So if you want to get a perfectly clean polished set at the 10 lug without adapters, you're looking at around 2,500 bucks. With adapters, I think the cheapest I saw was around 3,700 bucks from a couple of online retailers. You're looking at $3,700 for just the wheels and spacers. So I think being able to get away with wheels, tires, spacers, or not spacers, but adapters and mounted balance, I think it's a win. I think this might be the cheapest set on YouTube right now. for a set like this. So, you know, someone that actually milled them down, not just someone who throws them on and hopes for the best. So I'm pretty happy with that. If I wanted to resell these, they'd probably, I've seen them retail for around $4,500, and that's a very similar condition, wheel and tire. So if I did want to sell them, I could definitely make a profit on this, but the amount of time and labor and effort that went into it, and also the look now, I have no intention of selling these anytime soon. I think they look great. But I just wanted to give you guys a cost rundown of what everything was, when basically how I paid for it, and what it came down to. So now that leads us into our little dilemma though. Something I messed up on. When I got the spacers, they are for a faced wheel. Now, I didn't understand that at the time. I didn't think it would be an issue. I thought about spacing these, and spacing is when, or a faced wheel, sorry, facing. Facing a wheel is when you take down this inner and outer face of the wheels. You basically take down the metal, because it's almost an inch thick, to bring it down and bring the wheels closer together. That's great for a street setup, but I'm running with the mud tires, as I said, so the space in between there is just about perfect. I don't really want it sitting any closer than that. If I eventually go to a 35 with more of a lift or something, I might have a little more bulge with a load on the back. So I'm cool with that. Perfectly happy with how this is sitting. Downside is this spacer does not stick out far enough to hit this second outer wheel, and that's actually starting to cause a bit of a problem. So again, I've only put maybe 20, 30 miles on the truck total, did a couple of highway runs just to see how it felt. And what is happening, so, well, actually before I do that, I went ahead and grabbed this tool right here because I did see this coming as a problem. And this is a stud alignment tool that I showed you guys last video. And what it does is it goes around the outer stud here. Take this off. So it goes around the outer stud like so, and takes up all the gap in between the wheel and the stud so that everything is aligned. And when I first did that, took it for a drive, it worked out great until I hit a couple bumps, and after a while it starts to shimmy the wheel off just a little bit to where I start getting a vibration. What happens is the outer wheel either moves up or down in relation to the rear, creating an oblong wheel-shaped total, and throws the rear end all over the place, starts bouncing around pretty bad. As a result, what I gotta do is, there's a couple of different things. So first, I went ahead and contacted the company that is the manufacturer of these wheel adapters, and because I bought them second hand, if they don't wanna work with me or anything, totally understandable. I'm not gonna be butthurt about it. But I figured it'd be worth reaching out. And I wanted to ask him basically if I could trade in the wheel adapters, so send them the wheel adapters on my cost, of course. I don't expect them to pay for shipping or anything. And basically give them the wheel adapter back, like, hey, if you want to reuse these or whatever for a face set of wheels or package, I don't care. If you want these, you can have them. And then if I can get a set of proper sized ones, either that discount or straight up trade in, it would be awesome. I'd appreciate it. So send them a couple messages. We'll see what they say. It's Sunday right now, so who knows when they are going to reply or not. But that's option number one. Option number two is what I'm going to try today, because I really don't want to deal with wasting time. I'd like to just get this thing over with. So I saw a couple of people that actually take these things, and they will cut them and stick them in the holes basically permanently. What that does is that'll take up any extra space and keep it from shimmying around. It essentially acts like the spacer or adapter is supposed to, having that extended inner, I don't know, I guess inner Fox hub, I guess would be the proper term. And it'll keep your wheel aligned. So that's what I'm gonna try today. These aren't super cheap. They're about 80 bucks for these little alignment tools, but if I cut it in half, stick one on either wheel, it doesn't really matter. I'm not losing my money because it's still, I can't return them. And then at this point, they're already beat up. And then they're still serving their function as an alignment piece. They'll just be in there permanently instead of just in and out. So I think that's what I'm gonna try and do today. We'll stick them in, take it for a highway drive. You'll get to feel it on the highway. Well, you won't feel it. I'll feel it and relay to you on the highway if it helped out at all. And that'll be that. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock that out real quick, and we'll see if that fixes our little alignment issue. If not, the worst case scenario is I have to fork up an extra 600 bucks to get 2 more rear adapters, and maybe I can sell the ones I have now. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But that's what today's video is gonna be on, and sorry for the super long intro, but yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and chop these up and see how it works. Just because I did want to make sure, these things actually did shift, and I'm not, that's crazy. So this one's still aligned, not with the rear wheel, but it's still, I can get the tool on. This one can't get on, and I used to be able to get it on. So that means it shifted in some way. It either shifted that way or up or down. Something happened, so That's kind of lining up with my theory that if I permanently put these on, basically by cutting them short enough to where they fit, you know, just behind this second wheel, leave them on permanently, I think that'll do the trick to keep it aligned. But we'll find out, so I'm gonna keep working. Trimmed 3 of them down, and then we got one more right there, so should be the trick. See how this works out. If I just didn't waste this tool for no reason. I'm gonna go ahead and pop them all on, and we'll be good to go. See what happens. But you can definitely see what I'm talking about, where it's, you know, it's obviously not sitting evenly because this piece doesn't come all the way out. But the reason that I think it's worth doing this instead of getting the other adapter is just because that's, again, for a set, 600 bucks. This doesn't cost me anything at the moment, so we'll see how this works out. Let's go ahead and put them on. All right, that's one side down. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side off camera. I'm gonna go for a test drive and see how it feels. Alrighty guys, we're gonna go ahead and go for a drive real quick. Check out how wide this thing is. Like, I don't know if the camera does it justice, but this thing is just a freaking massive tank. That's awesome. All right, let's go ahead and go for a ride, see if this thing fixes it or not. Get up to about 50, so let's see how this goes. So far it feels pretty smooth, but there's still a slight shimmy. So it's still a little bit of a shimmy, it feels like. Not right around 60 is where it usually feels the worst. I think I'm gonna have to wind up getting the actual other kind of wheel adapters, which kind of sucks. This is my second attempt actually. I didn't film the first try out because I messed up when I was doing it. So yeah, unfortunately, even though they take up the stud space, I just don't think they're quite good enough to get the actual thing. The wheels are balanced with what you call it, wheel weights, so that's not balance beads or anything. I don't think that's causing the shimmy or issue. But we'll go ahead and test it out on the highway real quick and see how it feels. The new Trans is definitely not slipping compared to the old one, which is awesome. I mean, it's not supposed to, obviously, but it feels pretty good. So let's go ahead and hop on the highway real quick and see how it feels. I'm already feeling it. Like low 40 mile an hour kind of feels it. 45 is not bad, and then feel it again around 60 or so. Totally there. Yeah, it feels pretty shimmy. That sucks. I got it like 70 for a minute there. Yeah. Yeah, you can see it in the wheel a little bit. is at 70. Yeah, I'm not really comfortable with like sustaining that for a long period of time. You can see it right there moving that thing around. That's it. So, alrighty. Well, those were the shot. It could also be one of the front wheels, which is possible. I'll check them out just to make sure. But I'm pretty sure that we're just having issues with those rear spacers not lining up the rear wheels perfectly. And the only reason I think is the rear is not one of the fronts, because every time I adjust it, it feels a little bit different. So I'm doing something, I just can't quite get it perfect without having that full cylinder out there. So it is what it is. For right now, I think I'm gonna have to go back to running the stock wheels and tires until I can get this figured out. But that's pretty much gonna do it for today's video. So appreciate you guys watching, and guess I'll see you guys in the next one. So take it easy.